Welcome to the Sales Legend Podcast, the #1 podcast for inspiring sales leaders and professionals who are eager and hungry to become sales legends. Welcome everyone to your Sales Legend Podcast. My name is Domenic Presutti, founder and CEO of L2L Coaching, a high-performance sales leadership training organization. We're all about creating phenomenal and legendary growth and value for sales professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, sales teams, and entire organizations, helping them create phenomenal and legendary sales cultures and sales results. We are also the creators of the 10x10 Sales Legend Growth Model, creators of the Sales Legend Scorecard, and creators of the 8 Steps Legend Training Program. Becoming a sales legend is possible for everyone with the right training and learning. A sales legend is a sales professional who masters the art of connection, the art of discovery, and the art of closing. Today, I have the privilege of having with me an expert in the area of connection. Our goal is to bring you value through the insights of industry leaders. My guest today is Terry Hamill. Terry is a SingularityU Portugal expert in education, leadership, and human potential. He is a visionary and entrepreneur with 30 years experience in business leadership, skilled in scaling and growth. He is a global super connector and has the ability to attract, engage, and collaborate with a diverse range of people. Terry is the master franchisor for BNI Portugal and United Kingdom with partners Jose Quinteiro and Peter Higgs. Terry is an effective motivational communicator who has a flair for public speaking, sought after as an inspiring speaker, has given keynote talks in Asia, North and South America, Europe, Australia, and Africa. He is passionate about education and entrepreneurship. He's also a professor at Nova SBE, teaching master students how to build their networking skills. He is also co-founder of the Brave Generation Entrepreneurs Club for Kids with partner Tim Vieira, inspiring young people to become who they want to be with confidence. Helping others is the key to his success. Welcome, Terry. It's a true pleasure having you as our guest today.
Well, you know, I was turning around thinking there's a really good guy going to come onto this call that sounds really good. It's amazing that when you have words that they sound amazing. Listen, thank you for inviting me. I'm kind of honored to be here. It's a big gig. It's a kind of a big deal for me. So thank you, Domenic.
It's our pleasure having you. So Terry, today we will be discussing about the importance of how connection or connecting efficiently is critical for any sales professional. Before we talk about the importance of connection, I do have a few questions I would love to ask you regarding your career, your love and passion for teaching, and also with all the success you had during the past 30 years. I do want to hear how you are planning your next 30 years. Is that okay with you?
Perfect. Well, let me kick off with my career, because I laugh about this, because now I spend maybe half of my time in university teaching masters, between the ages of kind of 19 to 30, and then executives for large companies, how to build relationships and network and all that kind of stuff. But I never qualified anything at school. I was really a bit of a dropout, a bad dropout. And in fact, my first job was sweeping hair on a hairdresser's salon floor, because it was the only job I could get at the time. But here's the backstory. The hairdressing, empathy building, communication time for 15 years that I had led me into this topic that you're asking me to talk about, is how do you connect with different people at different levels? So I got into the hairdressing world, then I got into the networking world, and then the networking world allowed me to have a place that I could just be the person that I wanted to be, which is always to help people and be nice to people, because I believe that, what goes around comes around. If you're great to people, they'll be great back to you. And I found this thing called BNI, and it just took me all over the world. And I think Victor Kayam was one of the guys that said, I liked it so much I bought the company. So I started countries. I was in the UK, went to Portugal, Brazil, and I've kind of loved it, and I love it because it's easy connecting people. It's so easy to put people together if you don't have a hidden agenda. You know, just connecting others, assessing others' abilities, putting them together and letting them set off the fireworks of that thing. So, and your question about my next 30 years is, you know, I recently embarked on Corporate Connections, which is my next level. I know you're a Corporate Connections member, so you've inspired me along this journey, is that I want to make a bigger impact in the world. I want to stop abuse for kids, actually. That's my big thing. And I believe that a mixture of my university stuff and my Singularity University, which is part of NASA and Google and Deloitte, plus this Corporate Connections world, will allow me to meet people that can make a bigger impact on young people. So I think that's where I'm going to be in the next, well, give me 10, 20, 30 years is a long way away. I'll be 90, you know, well, I'll be 80 by then. So let's see if I'm playing enough golf by then. So I think that's my career. But thank you for asking.
Well, thank you for that. And while you were speaking, I just saw the passion, you know, of that you have, and knowing you now for quite some time, the way you love, you know, to help people, you know, to connect people with, you know, individuals that they're looking to meet. So thank you for all the connections that you do make on a daily basis.
You're welcome.
You know, you're talking about, you know, teaching. I know that teaching is something very important to you. So tell us how your love and passion for teaching brought you to become a university teacher.
Well, you know, I think I have this insane hole in my life that I never really got education, because I never had the teachers that were inspiring, because I was going through some trauma as a kid, which I didn't realize until I was like 28. So I kind of missed out on that whole education piece. So I love this statement, you know, never underestimate the power of one sentence that you say to somebody, positively or even good feedback. So I dedicated my energy to, if I'm going to share information or do something, I want to do it with 1,000,000%. You know, those students love those sessions because I involve them, and I want to give them what I missed out on. It was my own choices, but I missed out on that. And then I built this really cool, so you're going to talk about social stuff today, right? But I built this really cool social club called the Cash Guys Curry Club. Cash Guys is where I live. And there's 3 rules of the curry club. Number 1, drink beer. 2, drink wine. 3, eat curry. No more rules. And we built this social club of expats, entrepreneurs, people that sold businesses, and we built it to about 650 people. While I was drinking a bottle of wine, I met the dean of the university there, because there was no business cards, no selling, no nothing. And he just said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I inspire young people." He said, "Come and do it in the university." So I did, and that was 3.5 years ago. And I've been one of the best ranked speakers just because I met someone at a social event without doing a heavy pitch. He's like, "Oh my God, come in and do that." So that was the starting point. And I'll always be grateful for Pedro Santa Clara. He was the guy that opened the door, and I'd never stepped into a university ever before in my life. And I kind of walk in there now and thinking, my teachers would think I'm breaking into the place. It's so beautiful. And I rock up and I'd say to the students, they call me a professor, but I'm just going to share my story. You're the smart ones. I know how to network. Could you imagine the combination of both? And they go, "Yeah, totally in." So that was the story about how did I get into the universities.
No, I love when you mentioned never underestimate the power of one sentence. And if you decide to embark on something, don't do it halfway. Do it at 1,000,000%, right? Be your best every time. So love that. And you know what? Congratulations. You know, I think that inspiring young adults is a passion of yours, and that's great. That's our next generation. So congratulations in giving them your insights and knowledge, you know, for their next 80 years. So thank you for that.
Exactly.
Everyone that I know who knows you always mentions that Terry is someone you should know. He's a great entrepreneur and a great sales professional. With all your experience, what advice would you give to salespeople?
So I met a lot of salespeople in my time, right? And even, you know, I think when you're in a position where you like somebody you want them to sell you stuff. So if you've got someone that you resonate with, they have a great attitude, you have a good connection with, you almost want them to sell you stuff because you've already broken the barriers down. So my advice would be always ask for the sale, and if they say no, that means you haven't done your background work to be empathetic, to be considerate, to listen in the right way. And a lot of people do these great connections, but then don't at the end of it say, oh, would you mind if can we do this, or can we move forward? They kind of forget that part of it. And I see that a lot, where they do a lot of the training, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to handle myself this way, and then they forget to close the deal. If sales is about closing a deal, and even if you take away the word deal, because deal can often be like, the old car salesman type of style, I'm going to nail it, a deal. At the end of the day, if you're selling something, and in fact, I think we're all in sales because we're selling ourselves. I'm going to buy the person in front of me, and how they treat me and how they listen to me in the right way is the leveler. Now, I'm not sure your audience, but one of the best books for this is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I teach it at university because these kids don't see this book, and it's pure manners. It's great manners, listening more, understanding the client. So I think my advice would be, if you're a really good empathetic builder, don't forget to ask for the sale at the end, because people want to buy stuff.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I think it's like you mentioned, it's great to connect extremely well, but don't forget, ask for the sale. At the end of the day, it's about closing also. So thank you for those thoughts and insights. So now moving on to the power of connection. We often hear, the following in sales. It's critical to understand our client's social style. I'm curious to know your thoughts on the importance of social styles when connecting with a client.
So when I was 28, I started to get into the world of Myers-Briggs. So Myers-Briggs is a personality profiling program that the guy I was seeing introduced me to it, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind because it saved my relationship. And I'll tell you why, because I'm an ENFP, which is one of the styles, and my wife is an ISTJ, which is kind of the opposite styles. And I would go crazy and say, I booked a table tonight at 7:00. She'd say, what? There's no way you can do that. Why would you do that? It's like, and I thought she was being really selfish, but in fact, her style needs time. She needed time to prepare, to do her list, to organize the makeup. So I learned from that time to ask a very different question with someone who's the opposite style for me. I would say to her, choose the best day and time next month that you want to go for dinner. I left it, she organized it, she did it, she was in control of it. And we then had that better relationship. Even now, my wife does lists and lists and lists and lists. So I just say, when would that be a good time for you, rather than me demanding it. Now, here's the interesting part. Inside the Myers-Briggs structure, there's 16 types. So you're only one of those types. You change a little bit sometimes, but you're only one of those types. It's important to do the study on the other 15. So, and I'm really laser focused on this when I teach this for the students, is if you can look at the weaknesses of the other 15 styles, and you can notice things that they do. You notice the way I'm talking with my hands, so I'm kind of an extroverted person. So you would have to then raise up to my game. Or if I was a more kind of, analytic guy, you probably calm down a little bit. So these adjustments are almost become natural once you find out how to do it. So I would recommend anybody look at the programs that you're doing to assess people's styles. Are critical right now, because people need empathy builders fast, Dominic. You've got 4 seconds. So you walk in a room, you can't champion in and, take over. You have to kind of assess a little bit. there's a great advice I got from a top recruitment guy. And he said two things. If you can build rapport with humor, you can write the ticket anywhere. And that is social styling, isn't it? Building this rapport, assessing the situation, not being too dominant, not being too shy, saying the right things. Don't be the smart aleck in the room. Listen first. You know, that is a skill in itself. And the more people study those things, the more successful they'll be as salespeople, in my opinion.
You're absolutely right. I think that everything that you said, it just proves once again how important it is to understand social styles, personality traits, to be able to adapt effectively to the people in front of us. And I think that, I love what you said at the end, build rapport with humor. And to do that, you really have to understand your audience or the person who's in front of you. So thank you for that, for those insights. So moving on, and following question. When connecting with your clients, it's critical to understand your client's world. Share with us the importance of understanding your client's world when connecting with one of your clients.
So I'll talk about a couple of different scenarios then for salespeople, because because most of my sales come from people who are already introduced to me. So it's very rare that I get anything that comes from a cold call now. So if you introduce me to a person, take for instance Kai Bjorn in Canada, for example, and I didn't know Kai, but I knew that you knew him. The first thing I would do is I'd go to LinkedIn. I'd read exactly what he said. I'd maybe do a little bit of a search on what's his thing, what is he like, does he have kids, does he like horses, where does he live? He lives in Montreal. What is he, so I'm building up a profile of someone, because when I'm having a conversation with them, I know subconsciously I can pick on a particular subject that would ring his bells, and he'd say, that's interesting, we're both golfers. I said, do you golf? And I wouldn't say, I read your profile, I say you're a golfer. I just say, do you golf? Yeah, I love golf. Wow. And where do you golf? So there's a little bit of preparation. I think definitely LinkedIn is amazing. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's like warts and all. If you read that, you know who I am. So if you have the ability to do that with someone, that's really good. Asking the right questions at the right time. I'm pausing for effect here. Shut up. Just shut up and listen. Sometimes the gaps are okay because you're allowing the other person to come into your almost like this flow, right? You have this flow. And I'll use the analogy on the golf course. I play golf. I play pretty good. I'm a 15 handicap. I'm not the best golfer. If you've got a really, really good golfer playing with you, you have to shut up and let them play, and then congratulate them, say, that's a great swing. That's a great ball. That's a great putt. Well done. And after 9 holes, you then say, what do you do? Like, how did you get to where you are right now? That's interesting. Wow. And always be positive. Even if they say, oh, no, and you've got something critical to say, shut up. It's not your position to put your opinion. And if it's the first time you met them, keep that really positive, keep it light, and don't have this. If you can see this as a long-term relationship, don't go for some close at the end. Say something like, I've really enjoyed spending time with you. I hope we could do that again, rather than trying to sell them a house or sell them a car or something. And they say, yeah, why don't I introduce you to a couple of friends of mine? So I'm then suddenly bringing them out of our relationship into a wider relationship, because I then become the catalyst, Domenic, as opposed to the client supplier. Because everything I've ever done, I started myself. I'm the host. It's my place. Everybody feels good. It's the Italian thing, right? Come in, everybody's here, everyone looks, it's that kind of style. So if I'm meeting people, I prefer to meet them with other people, because they can say good stuff about me. I'll say good stuff about them, and it's an easier gig. So I think salespeople should be more strategic and those type of meetings. If you have a good referral, you can say, who else would be a good connection? Let's put them together, because the pressure of 2 or 3 people together is different than just a one-on-one. Again, depends on the different situations, but I think that would be my kind of advice on there.
Wow, so much great takeaways there. When you mentioned do your homework before meeting, your client, that is absolutely critical. Asking the right questions, and then just shut up, right? Just listen strategically. Always be positive and be a positive catalyst to individuals. So love that. So thank you for sharing all those great insights. We all heard about the 3 following elements, verbal, vocal, and visual. Tell us how these 3 elements, verbal, vocal, and visual, play an important part in connecting with clients.
Well, I think you look, first of all, is, how you look depending on the meeting that you're having. If you really have to make an impression with a corporate company, you have to dress appropriately. You can't turn up in shoddy clothes. Your hair has to be good. Your glasses have to be smart. Your smile has to be good. So visually, as a salesperson, I do believe it's doing your research, figure out what that person looks like in the world, and try and almost not mimic them. I mean, don't turn up with the same tie, of course, but try and have that professionalism and level that someone else would respect. Voice is huge for me. I'm a Scotsman living in Portugal. I'm only a Scotsman in Portugal because I'm different. When I go back to Scotland, I'm just another Scottish guy. So use your differences. If you have something that's different, people like that. They say, oh, that's interesting. Tell me why, how did you get here? So language is important. I don't know if you know this, but Scottish call centers are one of the most popular sales calls because of their accent, because it's a friendly accent. I'm not saying everybody should be Scottish. Canadians also have the same thing. So just be careful with your kind of tone. And the other thing, in terms of communicating with people, some people love stuff, they love to see stuff, or they love to be verified that they've got stuff. So if you can create an environment, take them to a place that's smart. Like my office here is beautiful. It's magnificent. Everybody gets looked after here, but they can also see around the office excellent examples of great stuff. So I think that covers different things. But we're going to talk a little bit about the speaking thing in a second. But I would say your personal image is important, the tone and the speed of your accent, and how you look and feel. I think there's 3, good key elements to building relationships. All in balance with each other, I think, are really good.
Absolutely. I think, like you mentioned, all 3 elements that we call the 3 V's, verbal, vocal, and visual, are absolutely critical. And love when you mentioned use your difference as an advantage. Love that.
Yeah.
So as a sales leader and professional, we are often asked to deliver a sales presentation to a large group. Describe to us the way you structure and deliver your presentation to adapt to all social styles.
Brilliant. And I'm glad you asked this, because it's something that I've been working on. I was a trained comedian back when I was 20, I think I was 29. I did a comedy, it was called Funny Business. And they would take us through a 6-week course on how to become a comedian. And the biggest part of comedy is the first few seconds. How do you create rapport with the audience in the first few seconds? So if I break this into 4 pieces, if that's okay, the first part is play yourself down in front of the audience. You want to be the least smartest guy in the room. You want to make that audience think that you're really a kind of bumbling fool, a little bit like Columbo. Remember the Columbo guy, one more thing. So my style, and I do exactly the same. Tomorrow I'm talking with a huge insurance group about vulnerability, but I'm going to start off from the point of, I don't know how I got here. I don't even know how I get into the room. So they say, okay, well, this guy's okay. He's kind of funny and he's not trying to be the smart ass in the room. You know what I mean? He's okay. So first of all is position yourself with humble versus arrogant, first part. Second part, tell them about you and why you're connected to that particular talk. So I don't make any excuses about it. I was abused as a child. I didn't realize it happened until I was 28. I talk about it every single time I speak. And people say, wow, why would you say that? Well, because my vision is to open schools all over the world to inspire young people. So the second part is say something that's relative to you, positively or negative, about why are you in that audience? Why are you talking about that subject in front of that audience? So what you have 2 points of connection then, Dominic. You have your humble part at the beginning, your link, as Simon Sinek says, your why are you doing it? And then the third part is you've got to have really good content. That audience is smart, they're hungry, they want to know something different. So that third part has to be really unique, something that's really, that they say, wow, I didn't think about it like that before. And you have to work really hard on that third part, whatever it is you're talking about. And if you're talking about selling to a company, figure that company out first, figure out the pain points, and then come in with a solution on the pain points. The last part is pure engagement. If you're speaking with large audiences, the audience should, by that time, a high percentage of them should be connected with you. So the best way to connect with them is to say, look, as part of this presentation, I put a lot of research in and I prepared a lot of things for you that I think might be relevant to your future. Look at the back screen. It has the web address, could be terryhamill.com or something. Just go there. And I've give you some free stuff. I leave it for 2 minutes. So I said, no, please take your phone out, go there right, because I've delivered. And I link it to an automation or a Facebook Messenger. And I did this with an audience of 800 people, 737 people connected with me within 2 minutes. So I no longer, I have the humble, the connected, the content, and then the closing part is how do I get the audience connected with me? And if the talk goes well, you have high numbers. If your talk sucks, you get very little people connecting with you, but that's your fault. You have to be better at it. So I have that connecting part because it's like the back of the room sales, right? You want people to be connected to you. And then the final part is leave with something funny, because life is so dull and so boring sometimes that if you can leave with something funny, and that's where you have rapport and humor at the end. And it could be something as simple as this at the end to say, you know what, I'm finished 5 minutes early because I don't know anything else. Thanks for having me in, and get off the stage. I think you should always respect people's times. Arrogance is you're talking more than 5 minutes than you should be. So if you have a 1 hour talk for 50 minutes, respect the audience and give the audience time. Because nobody likes it when they talk forever and talk, oh my God, you think, oh my God, they're going to talk forever now. So that will be my construct of any size of audience. Could be 50, 100, 1,000. It doesn't matter. Use that format. It works really, really well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I took great notes. One, play yourself down. Humble versus arrogance, right? Being arrogant. Tell them about you, your why. So that is, I think it's a way to for the audience to connect with the speaker and with you, having really good content. It's great to connect, but you'd really have to have great content because you have smart people in front of you. So I love that. Then pure engagement. Love that idea. Giving people time to click on the link, to connect with you on the spot, not when they leave the room. Love it. And leave with something funny, so thank you for sharing all those great, tidbits. So it's fantastic. Terry, it was a pleasure having you as our guest today. For all our attendees to know more about BNI Portugal and the United Kingdom, And to know more about Be Brave, Terry's contact information will be appearing on the screen at the end of the show. Thank you again, Terry.
Domenic, thank you so much for having me. My teachers will be proud that I'm doing this, and I'm just glad that the international market is talking about this sales styles and things like that, because I think the world is going to be a better place when we have better human beings inside it doing the right thing. So congratulations. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. So once again, I would like to thank everyone for attending our webcast today. Please stay tuned for our next webcast, where we will bring you yet again another industry leader who is creating tremendous value and growth and creating in their own way phenomenal and legendary results. To learn more on how we are creating sales legends, please click on the link below to access free training to help you achieve sales legend status and to learn more about the Ultimate Sales Legend program. Once again, thank you, and keep striving to be phenomenal and legendary.